I believe we are recording now.
Thank you. Perfect.
No problem. Good afternoon, Ms. Haggerty.
Hi, everybody. We're going to get started in literally just a minute. If this is your first session of the day, welcome. If this is not, welcome back. My name is Tessa Tarowski. I will be helping monitor the chat. So feel free to put any questions that you may have in either the actual Zoom interface or the Whova chat. It is my pleasure to welcome today Curtis Ward. Curtis has been an adult education instructor at Southern Crescent Technical College in Griffin, Georgia for 6 years. He primarily teaches math, but he also helps students with other core subject areas as well as employability skills and career and college counseling. In addition to his duties in the classroom, Mr. Ward develops data management tools for his adult education program and others in the state of Georgia. His website, www.mathwithmrward.club, recently launched and includes new tools for teachers to use in their classrooms, such as the Interactive Student Education Plan. Today, Curtis will be talking about interactive student education plans using TABE test scores to prescribe assignments for students. Take it away, Mr. Ward.
All right. Well, thank you very much for that introduction. It is great to be here today. I'm at home technically, but I feel like I'm in Ohio. I'm actually in Georgia, Griffin, Georgia, to be more precise. And that's where I teach every single day. And when I am not teaching, I spend a lot of time working on what I'm going to show you today, which is the Interactive Student Educational Plan. And it's just something that I created about just over a year ago. And since then, not only our program at Southern Crescent, but lots of other programs across the state of Georgia, and more recently, programs across the country have started using this to help their teachers help their students. That's sort of the idea. So I'm going to show it to you today, and I encourage you, please do put questions in the chat, either one, the Whova chat or the Zoom chat, and I'll be able to see that. I'll be able to answer those questions. If I hesitate on those questions, it's probably because I'm going to be addressing that later on in the presentation. But please do interact on that chat as much as you see fit. And without further ado, I'll go ahead and start our presentation here. So just by way of introduction, I am a teacher like you. I do teach all levels and all subjects, just like most adult education teachers. But most of the time, I do focus on the higher level math. That's just sort of my forte, and also what most of my students, at least in my classroom, tend to need in order to complete their high school equivalency. What I was thinking when I put this together, I have to use what the state of Georgia calls an SEP in my classes for every student. I know other states don't call it SEP, but that's what we call it. And basically what it is it's a list of assignments for that student, specifically because they need these assignments to make progress towards their goal. And in order to be a useful SEP, I need it to be individualized for each student. I need each student to have a different one because none of my students need exactly the same thing. They all come in at different levels. They all come in with different, what I would call holes in their knowledge that need to be filled. So there are different things that each student needs, and I need to individualize their plans so that they get the best for themselves. There are also so many different textbooks and programs and materials and everything else you can imagine that gets thrown at us at conferences like these. I go to these conferences all the time, and I hear about the next big thing and the new thing that this company has created or this person has that they use. And I go, well, that's great, but that's one more thing I've got to keep up with, and one more thing I've got to put on my bookshelf. Or in this case, during the COVID shutdown, this is one more thing I've got to store on my computer and remember where I put it. So all those things put together can really overwhelm a teacher like you or me. And so what this tool does is sort of sort things a little bit easier for us. And also, I have to align all of the things that I teach to the CCR standards. So those standards tell me what my students need to know in order to get their high school equivalency. So I need to make sure that what I'm teaching aligns to those standards. Thankfully, most of our resources these days are already aligned to those standards, but it sure would be nice to be able to find what I need to go along with those standards at the touch of a button, which is what the Interactive SEP allows you to do. let's see. This is an example of what our SEPs at Southern Crescent used to look like. And when I say they used to look like it, I mean up until about a year and a half ago, this is what they looked like. The first one that you see on the left-hand side of your screen is an SEP that was created by, I think my boss 3 or 4 bosses ago. And it's basically just a list of all the different textbooks they used back in 2008 or so. And it's divided up by level, it's divided up by skill and by subject. But this is actually page 1 of 16. So we had packets of these things printed up and stacked all over our classrooms and in cabinets and drawers. They were everywhere. Not only was it a huge expense for us, but the students knew right away that they weren't individualized. The best we could do to individualize them was to highlight something a student needed to work on or something like that. So the students didn't really like them. We didn't really like them. They were expensive. They just weren't efficient. The one that you see in the middle of your screen is what we call the blank SEP. It literally is just full of blanks. And you can put anything you want to in it, which is great. It's very customizable and individualized. But at the same time, it's all handwritten or maybe typed, but it takes a lot of time to handwrite or type for every single student in your classroom for all of their subjects, every different assignment that you want them to have. So while this is nice because it's empty, it's also difficult to use because it's empty. And there was one more kind of SEP that we sometimes used. I don't like to talk about it very much, but occasionally there was just a note that sort of said what a student should be working on. And we didn't like to see that, but it was understandable given the challenges that we had. So we like to get rid of those things and hopefully work on something a little bit better. So the SEP that we use now, the interactive SEP that I'll show you today, is easy to use. It's interactive. All you have to do is click on things, choose from menus, and it does all the work for you, which is really nice. It is specific to the individual student because each one can be created based on a student's test scores. It has more than just reading, math, and language, although that is sort of the focus because that's what TABE testing and other things do, is those 3 subjects. But we also have other things that we see on there. It's a one-stop shop. I'm adding more materials to it, as well as more than just assignments, and I'll show you some of that as well. And hopefully, it's getting better all the time. I do add materials to it quite frequently. I try to keep up to date. I try to fix errors if there are any on there. And I keep in touch with teachers all across the country these days who help me make this thing better and better. All right, so I'm going to take you over to my website. So bear with me while I switch over. And let's see, here we go. So on your screen, in just a second at least, you should see mathwithmrward.club. This is my website. It's where the interactive SEP is available for you anytime, day or night, to download, and I'll add this too, for free. I don't charge for this. This is something we made at Southern Crescent, something I made on a 2-week break while we were not having students and we were resetting for the summer, and we needed something better, so I made this, and it's been free ever since to anybody who wants it. So mathwithmrward.club, not .com, but .club, and that is the place where you can go to get the interactive SEP. All you have to do is click on the big blue button, Interactive SEP Download, takes you to the page where you can find that. If I scroll down just a little bit, you'll see a big button that says Interactive SEP, also another button, Interactive Student Educational Plan. You can click on either one of those and it will open up a Google Sheet. So I'll show you that real quick. So it's opening up a Google Sheet, and here it is for you to see. This Google Sheet is the interactive SEP. However, you can't use it as a Google Sheet. Google Sheets don't support the formulas and things that are on this, so you actually have to download it and use it as an Excel spreadsheet. And all you need to do that is just click on download. It'll begin the download in just a second. It'll load up at the bottom of the screen, and you can see it downloading right down here. It's just calculating how much time it'll take to do that. While it's doing that, I'm just going to show you one that I've already downloaded today because I didn't want to wait on it. It opens up as an Excel spreadsheet, and I'll show you that in just a second. There we go. So this is the Excel spreadsheet. I can make it a little bit bigger so you all can see it maybe a little better on your screens. There we go. And you'll notice at the top, it says enable editing. That's because I have to click on that to make this actually work. So don't ever forget that on any Excel spreadsheet, but especially on this one. So I click on Enable Editing. It'll load up in just a second. There we go. All right, so now it is able to be edited, which means I can actually use it. And everywhere that you see a yellow box, everywhere that it is highlighted in yellow, that is a place where you can type or you can put in information. All the white boxes don't allow you to type in them. If I try to type in them, it will yell at me and tell me that I cannot type in that box. So that's a sort of a safety feature to make sure that you can't mess this up. You can't damage any of the formulas and make it not work for you. But I'm just going to take you through the steps to fill this out. It's very easy to do. Your program name, I'll just type Southern Crescent because that's my program. And right here, the student name, I always use a standard student name like fake student. And right here, instructor name, of course, Mr. Ward. And then here's where the interactive part comes in. The first thing I do is choose a subject. I click on this little box here for select my subject. I can scroll down and choose whichever of the subjects here that I want. I have reading, math, and language, the 3 TABE subjects. I also have science and social studies because there is some of that content on here as well. There's a program called North Star Digital Literacy that we use in Georgia. It's actually a program out of Minnesota, so you may have heard of it. But if you're not using that, you don't have to worry about that. We also have Aztec in our program, so we have that on there as well. And something called Georgia Best, which is our employability skills. That changes from time to time as I add new subjects there. But this is where you choose a subject. So I'm just going to choose math because math is a very popular subject at Math with Mr. Ward. I'm also going to choose a level. And when I say level, there's a couple of different options. Of course, there are the TABE levels, L, E, M, D, and A. There's also a level for GED. And if I remember correctly, Ohio is also a HiSET state. And I have good news. Georgia got its first 2 HiSET graduates last week. So we are now a HiSET test state as well. And I'll be adding some HiSET materials to this very, very soon. But there's also a few more down here for Aztec and other things. But I'm going to stick with the TABE levels for right now. I'll just choose Math M. Math level M happens to have the most content of any level really in the whole system. And then I'm going to see a whole lot of different domains populate right over here to the right-hand side. Those are the domains that TABE uses to divide up its testing. So Math level M has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different domains. And not only are those domains listed there for you, but also there's a percentage next to each of those domains that indicates how much of the TABE test is about that specific domain. So in the Math level M section, 20% is about numbers and operations with fractions, and geometry is 10%. That comes straight from TABE test, straight from DRC. So those numbers are true, I promise. Now, the next thing that you can do is you can select a textbook or a program, whichever textbook or program you prefer, whichever one you have at your disposal, whichever one your students like to use. And I'll drop this menu down and you'll see all the different ones that are currently on here. And this is where we add more content all the time. But you'll see things like Learning Upgrade, the app that a lot of programs are using. You'll see the TABE Tutor series from Paxson Publishing, as well as the TABE Tutor Practice series, which is a brand new series they have. Score Boost by New Readers Press is on there. TABE Mastery by New Readers Press, which is still in development, but what they have is actually on here already. Some of the Common Core by McGraw-Hill series. I know that was a textbook that we bought lots of, and then McGraw-Hill sort of got out of the adult education business, but we still have their textbooks. So we put them on here too. Achieving TABE Success, also by McGraw-Hill. And then so many, many more. Our Kaplan GED books. I know they have a HiSET book too. There's lots of different things there. So I'm just going to pick the TABE Tutor series because that's the one we use probably the most often at Southern Crescent. When I pick that, it automatically shows me a picture of what the Math Level M TABE Tutor book looks like right over here on the left-hand side, which is really nice because when I print this out, my student can take this and go to the bookshelf and find the book that they need. And a lot of the books look the same. So it's nice to have a little picture there if you can get it. So I've got pictures for all the different textbooks and programs right there, so it's easy to find. And then the last thing I need to do in order to make this actually assign things for students to work on is select from all of these different checkboxes which domains the TABE test told me my student needs to work on. And if you remember, the TABE test has 3 sections at the bottom. It has check marks for everything. And even if you're not basing it on a TABE test score, if you gave a student any kind of pretest or any type of assessment, you can see what they need to work on. And if they need to work on their fractions, then you select fractions. If they need to work on their statistics and probability, you select that one. So it's really up to the teacher what you assign. And if a student needs to work on everything, you could check every single box off, or you could just check off a few, and then when they finish that, check off a few more on the next one you give to them. It's really, really nice and customizable that way. But I'm just going to check off a few of these. I'm not going to check all of them. I'm going to check off B, C, D, and F. And as I check them off, you'll notice I'm clicking them, but when I click them, it doesn't always pop up right away. That's because if you look down here at the bottom, it actually says calculating whenever that happens. So it's running lots of different calculations and figuring out what it needs to do every time I click a box or select something on the screen. But I'm going to scroll down so you can see, I guess, the big prize here, and that is these skills, standards, and page numbers have been filled in all down this interactive SEP. What it's done is it has taken my choices, math, M-level, TABE Tutor by Paxson Publishing, and these 4 domains, and it has given me the skills that the TABE test says go along with that domain, the standards, the CCR standards that go with it, and the page numbers in that TABE Tutor book that go with that skill, that go with those standards, so my student can start to work on it. If I scroll down, you can see every single one, all the different ones from fractions, all the different ones from base 10, algebraic and operations and algebraic thinking, and then expressions and equations all the way down. Also, you'll notice each of these domains has a letter next to it, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. The skills also have those same letters, so you can tell which one goes with which domain. So you can say, okay, all of these go with fractions. And so I can tell my students, hey, work on these first 4. Those are your fractions. That's where that B comes from. Really, really nice to be able to do that. And if I decide I need 1 or 2 more on there, all I need to do is click another one like measurement and data right here. When I click that, it will pop up in just a second after it stops calculating down here at the bottom. It will add A to the top of this, and there it is. It has the standards that go with it and the page numbers that go with it as well. So really, really useful tool, helps our students a lot, but helps our teachers as well. We can professionally create these, print them out as needed, or even print them out before needed so that we have them ready to go when a new student walks in the door. We've got their test scores. We can go ahead and get their assignments ready. What used to take us half of a class period when you got new students who came in now takes us a matter of maybe a few minutes, and we can give them all of the information they need to get started on their specific assignments for their specific educational goals. So it saves us a lot of time, looks a whole lot more professional, and really comes in handy. If I want to create another one for another student, all I need to do is put that student's name up here. So we'll do fake student number 2. Everything else basically stays the same, but they have different domains and different things they need to work on. So I can choose a different level, like level D. When I choose level D, it calculates down here at the bottom. I'll get new domains here for level D, and I'll get new skills and standards that match. If I don't like these 5 selections, I can take some of them off. I can choose others instead. I can do all of that as I go along. And as soon as it's done calculating, it will give me those things here. So really, really nice to be able to do that. Great functionality, works really well. You notice I got a picture of the TABE D level math book there too. So I'm just reading some comments. Thank you guys. So yeah, D level math book just popped up here for you to see again. So the student has a picture of what that textbook looks like. Also, just in the last few months, some of my colleagues at Southern Crescent and I have been using this to create our online assignments. So we have a new online learning system that we're using for online classes, which is something we've never done before in our program. And we thought, well, how are we going to organize things? How are we going to put all the content where we need it? And we thought, oh, Well, we have this system pretty much already built in that tells us domains, tells us skills, tells us levels of the TABE test, and all we need to do is find content to go with it. This was our organization system right here. So we really liked that. All right, I'm going to show you a couple of other things that are also on the Interactive SEP. So down here on the bottom, there are some tabs. And if I go across each of these tabs, I'll show you what's there. Math lessons and standards. Right here, I have all of the TABE standards written out right here. And I also have all of the TABE domains and the emphasis levels of each of those standards. So if you're looking for a particular standard in the E or the L level, this is the whole list of standards. It's a lot easier to find than I think is it Susan Pimental or something like that, has that big long document. It's like 400 pages long, but this is a little more condensed. And also each of these is a link. You can see that link pop up to a Khan Academy lesson. So this comes in handy really well when we're teaching online and we need a lesson to go with the standard. We can just find it right here. I didn't create this, by the way. I believe the state of Tennessee did, but I put it on my SEP because it was really, really useful. So that's one more thing it has. I also have the ELA standards. Unfortunately, they don't link to anything because there's not a whole lot of content out there for ELA in a lot of these areas, but hopefully that will link to some things. But if nothing else, you've got all the standards listed out for levels L through A on the TABE test, which is nice to have a good reference there. Also at Southern Crescent, we've started using a new program called IXL. I asked what IXL stood for, and they told me it didn't stand for anything. It was just a pun, and I felt dumb, but I got it because, you know, IXL. And IXL is a computerized program that our students can use. And what we've done here is we have all of their TABE guides sort of condensed down onto this page. And I even have a little handy table of contents there at the top so you can find everything. But each standard has several IXL lessons that go with it. And so if you are assigning things to people, or if you're saying you should go to this to work on this specific skill, this is really useful too. And a lot of our teachers use this in their classroom when they're teaching a lesson. They can say, okay, well, let's all work on IXL, and they'll put that up on the screen, or they'll put it on their projector in the classroom. So however this helps you, I hope that's a useful thing for you. Yes, I use Khan all the time too. So that's a good one for me too. And the last one I want to show you on here is this last tab. This actually has some things from tabetest.com, which is where DRC has all of its information, and then something from me as well. And I always sort of couch that and give a good disclaimer for it. And you'll see why in just a second. But this has two charts on it. The chart on the left, I'll wait just a second and let that pop up. There we go. The chart on the left is directly from DRC, directly from tabetest.com. I made it a little easier to look at, I think, than maybe theirs is, but it just tells you the different ranges of scale scores on the TABE test. And when we looked at that in our program, we said, oh, well, that's nice to know. It's not possible to score an NRS level 3 on an L test, for example, or it's not possible to score a level 5 on an M test. And knowing that helped us sort of figure out when to test our students in different ways. And that's where the chart on the right came from. That is my chart. That is not from DRC. They will not endorse it, I promise. But that chart on the right actually is how we decide which post test to give a student. So if a student took an E test and scored a 3, then their post test will be an M, because they can't get a 4 in an E level test. We need to give them a test where they could get a 4 if they're already a 3. That's just for our use, and you see this big giant disclaimer right here on the bottom. So that's a good one if you want to use it. Let's see. So Beth is asking, we have a trial for IXL. How do we find the lessons for the CCRs that link to IXL? So on this page right here, each skill has the lesson right here. If you click on these links, it takes you to a lesson in IXL. IXL actually has those on their website. They no longer have L though. They took it off, and I called them and asked them why, and they honestly couldn't explain it too well. but I have L on here. I saved it, so it's all still here. But they have E, M, D, and A, I believe, under the skill plans on their website. So if you go to skill plans, you can find that on IXL, but it's all right here, and it's all in one spot here. They have it divided up by level, so you have to jump around a whole lot. I just put them all in one place so that our teachers could use it a little bit easier. Good question though, Beth. Thank you. All right, so that kind of concludes what the interactive SEP is. I do have an instructions page as well. So if I go back to that original page, this one doesn't show up when you first open it, but it's all the way at the left-hand side, the instructions page, and it walks you through how to do everything there is on the SEP as far as the interactive portion. So you can create those things. If you ever have any issues with it, my first recommendation is to make sure you're using an updated version of Excel. And my second thing is you can always go to my website, mathwithmrward.club, and send me a message and say, hey, this isn't working, something's not quite right. I'm happy to jump in and see if I can help you. Sometimes I set up Zoom meetings or something like that so we can talk. But I'm okay with doing that as long as I'm not teaching a class. That's okay with me. Where is the SEP located, Miss Mosley? So on my website, mathwithmrward.club. So mathwithmrward.club. And if you go to program resources, or you just click on download the interactive SEP, right here, interactive SEP, that's where you get it. And I'm glad you took me back to this website, because I do have one more thing I want to show you. Right here, there is a button to click to see a tutorial on the interactive SEP. That's just me talking and a video of the SEP in action. And we've actually used that at Southern Crescent so that our teachers can be sort of trained on how to use this. Now, all of our teachers are really good at it now, and we get updates better than everybody, but still, we use that for training purposes, and a lot of other schools and a lot of other programs are using that for training purposes. It's just a quick YouTube video. I think it's about 12 minutes long, and it does exactly what I did today, but on a little bit smaller scale. Just shows you where to click and how to click to make that work. So if you have teachers in your program who aren't in the session today, who you want to show how to use this, that video shows them how to use everything we looked at today. So mathwithmrward.club, that is the place to go. All right, and I do have a few announcements I want to tell you about, some things that I'm looking forward to adding to the SEP. And also, if you have any ideas for things that might be useful to add to the SEP, please let me know through my website. You can also see on the page here my Facebook page, so you can go to my Facebook page and send me messages there too. That's totally fine. But I'm looking at adding the CASA standards as well. I know that's a big thing in a lot of states. I'm not sure if Ohio uses those, but yes. So, Mr. Smith, yes, I do need help with ESOL materials. I'm not an English as a second language teacher, although I used to be a volunteer. And yes, I do need help with that. So if you have anything that you can add, I will gladly email you and use your assistance. But also some things I'm going to add in the future. Let me make sure I get this right. A search by standard feature. So if you're creating lesson plans and you have standards that you are trying to incorporate into that lesson plan, you could choose a standard, choose a CCR standard, and different materials pop up for that standard. It's not available yet, but I have all the data, so I'm going to be able to put that together soon. Subject and level specific options for textbooks and resources and online programs. So if you teach a specific subject at a specific level, maybe your program is divided up like that, you could drop down a few boxes and say, I teach math at the D level, and what materials have great content for that? And a list of those comes up, and other options are available to you. That's also coming. So lots of new things always being added to it, if at all possible. And let's see. I do have some other resources on my website that I would like to show you if you're interested. Under student resources, I use these in my classroom every day. These are just my notes that I have, and they're typed up step-by-step instructions. I'm especially proud of the fractions one, because my students always have trouble with fractions. I know none of your students do, but my students do. They definitely have trouble with fractions. So I spent a lot of time going through and typing those up. I've done presentations on those before, but I'm just going to throw them into this too. So please feel free to use any of those that you want to. All you got to do is click on them and download them just like you do with the SEP. You can print them out, use them as you wish, change them up if you need to. That's totally fine with me. I'm here to help if I can. And I also have some great student stories right over here. I won't click on those today, but my student stories are my students who have given me permission to put their stories on here about their high school equivalency journey and their graduation and the things that they're doing with their lives. So I always encourage folks to drop by and see that. But that pretty much concludes my presentation. I know I'm a little bit faster than others, but I think all of you have had a long day already. But I would love to answer questions and show things, demonstrate things if I can. So if you have a specific question or just a general question, if you want to put that in the chats, I'm happy to answer those if I can. Or if you want to unmute yourself and ask a question, that would also be okay. Do participants have the ability to unmute themselves? I think they do.
They should be able to.
Okay. Yeah, I see your comment, Ms. Angelone. Thank you. I'm glad this one went better than the one at COABE did. My presentation at COABE, the computer kept shutting down during the presentation. So I have a backup computer sitting right here on the desk, ready to go. But this one went much better. So thank you for letting me participate. Yeah, the vote count down here. Yeah, we'll talk about that another day. I don't know what's going on. My county is done, but everybody else is going nuts. All right. Well, I'm looking through. I don't see. I'm going to check the chat for Hoover there. Let's see. Okay. Great question, Ms. Anderson. It says, I teach entirely online now. How can I adapt this for online students who don't have access to books? Great question. What we do for our students is not so much we adapt this for them, but we use this to plan our lessons. And then, like I was mentioning earlier, to build the content in our online program. So I'll give you an example. If I go to, instead of the TABE tutor book, for example, if I go to Learning Upgrade. Learning Upgrade is an online, or actually an app you can download. You can use it online as well. And when I use that, when I put it in here for D-level math, now I have the lesson numbers for the different sections of Learning Upgrade that go with these. So if I have a student who's using Learning Upgrade, I can send that to them. I can say, for you, here are the lessons you should work on for your TABE test results, and give it to them. Or I could use this to match the content, which is kind of what we're doing right now. We're taking this, we know what the skills are that go with each level, that go with each domain, and we're using that to then find online resources that go with it. Not to mention, you've got all the Khan Academy math standards here. So these are links to Khan Academy, which is a free website. So you can use those to give assignments to your students to say, okay, you're a level M math student. Here's level M math right here. Every single lesson in Khan Academy that goes with level M math is right here. And all they need to do is click on the links that you send them to go to those lessons. So that's another way to do it. The same thing is true with IXL. If you're using IXL, which I know not every program is, but if you're using IXL, you can do the same thing with IXL. You have a standard under a certain level of the TABE test, send them the links or send them to this so that they can click on the links. However you want to do it is fine. Everything I have, like I say, is free. So I'm totally okay with folks going in and grabbing stuff off my SEP and using it however they please. So I hope that answered your question a little bit, Ms. Anderson. I just wanted to kind of see if that would work.
You have a question from Justin wondering if you have Burlington English in the spreadsheet yet.
I do not have anything from Burlington English on the sheet yet now. In fact, there are a few publishers that have been really on board with it and sent me lots of good stuff. Paxson and New Readers Press, you see a lot of that on there because I have a good contact with them. But Burlington English, I haven't gotten anything from them yet. And Essential Education, I'm working on some of their stuff, but it's not on there yet. I'm hoping to have it on there by the end of the month. What do they call it? The TABE workbooks that they have, and then also they have 3 textbooks, a math, a reading, and a language book for high school equivalency too. So I'm working to put those on there. So if you have any contacts and you would like to send them my way, that would be great. My email is, let me put my email on the screen here. Actually, you know what? I'm going to switch to the other one. There we go. We'll do this page. And, well, wherever it is. Well, that didn't work at all. Okay, we'll just click through these. Sorry about that, guys. So yeah, this is my contact information at Southern Crescent and also my website. So anybody can reach out to me there. All right. Thank you, Mr. Armstrong. I'm saying Mr. Armstrong, I'm not sure. You said it is also on our approved distance education list. I'm wondering what you mean by that. I missed that.
That was when you mentioned Learning Upgrade. That is on one of our approved softwares that programs can use.
Gotcha. Because you can count attendance hours, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, yep. we do the same thing at Southern Crescent, and IXL, actually, we just got approved by the state of Georgia to do the same. You can count attendance hours on IXL. So if any of your programs are interested, and I don't know if Ohio has that approved or not, but IXL, you can count attendance hours. So we're actually using that as another distance education platform for us. We use Khan Academy. We use, I think it's Ventures, which I can't remember the publisher on Ventures, but we use several different distance ed platforms.
Yeah, I will say, I know we have Khan Academy on our list. I believe IXL is as well. So for those instructors on the call that are thinking about those options, definitely utilize that. Also, like he mentioned, use these as references to what kind of resources you could assign on the approved software, because this is such a good job of laying out the lessons that students need. You can definitely find a way to crosswalk that to other platforms if it's not on the Excel sheet already.
Yep, that's what we're doing with our online classes now, because like one of the folks on the Zoom meeting said, you can't really use a textbook online. It's hard to do unless you're giving out textbooks, which we're not really allowed to do. So if you're not able to do that, how do you get this information to a student? Well, you find things that match with what you already have. And since this tells you what should be in that lesson based on all these different resources and things, go find things that match, and it's really easy to do from there. All right. Are there any other questions or anything? I'm trying to stay abreast of all the chats here going on. Again,
I just want to say thank you. I mean, this is awesome to see, and it definitely makes me regret being out of the classroom at this point. I missed helping students lay out that, and this just seems to make it a much easier, faster process to help them identify what do we really need and how can we get you your goal faster. And it makes it something that they can own and they can easily check off and customize this as well. And it integrates those computer literacy skills on top of that.
Yeah, usually our teachers are the ones using this, but students use it as well, because we give a copy of the scores to the student. So they could go in and do this themselves and figure out what they need to work on. If they want to purchase a textbook or, use Khan Academy or whatever to work on what they're working on, they can do it with this SEP as well. So yeah, absolutely. It really is. It saves us so much time. That was the big thing. We got the TABE 11 and 12 tests thrown at us, and we thought, well, what do we do now? Because everything was based on the old test. Now we have a new test and it's totally different. And then CCR standards on top of that. And we just thought, okay, we got to figure something out. And once we started putting it all together, it was just a matter of creating the database that would manage it. And it did take some time and some critical thinking skills, but we got it done. And it seems to be working really, really well.
You have a request, I'm not sure if you saw it, from S. Ferris to send ESOL information.
Okay. For me to send it or for them to send it to me?
Please send me ESOL information, and then the email is listed. It's in the chat, in the actual Zoom chat.
Okay. I'm just going to ask if Mr. or Ms. Ferris could clarify what exactly they mean when they say, please send me the information. I'm not sure what they mean. And if you want to unmute yourself, you certainly can. And while you do that, I'm going to switch back over to the actual SEP, because I wanted to show maybe some more of these textbooks and programs that are available. If there are popular ones that you use, Score Boost is a big one for us too. And the Score Boost D-level math has 4 different textbooks there. You may have noticed too, I just want to point this out, this is not actually an error, even though it looks like it on the screen. Right here, it looks like this is wrong, but I will say when you print it, it will print correctly. It's just the fact that I'm zoomed in. If I was to zoom out here, all those would line up correctly. So I didn't want anybody to think this has got errors in it. It definitely doesn't. But if you ever notice any, please let me know. But that does sort of happen when you zoom in and zoom out on it. The Excel will rearrange what it looks like, but when you print this, it will print correctly. All right. Thank you, Ms. Benton.
Yes, this is Stephanie Ferris.
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Ferris, go ahead.
And I just thought this is an excellent resource if I was teaching HSE. But I know some of the things on the beginning level I can still incorporate. But if you had anything more specific to ESOL and you come across it, I'd appreciate it if you sent it to me.
Not a problem. I actually, and I don't usually do this, Ms. Ferris, but I'm going to do it for you. Let me pull up what I do have for ESL. It's very specific to, and y'all are seeing kind of behind the scenes here, but give me a second. So this is an SEP I developed for our program. It is ventures specific. And that's the only hang up, is I know not every program uses ventures, but I just didn't really know how to handle the ESOL standards. So I was trying to do my best, but we needed something for our program to use. And so basically you choose a ventures level and they go basic to 4. They may go to 5, I'm not sure, but you just pick one and then you select either the workbook or the student book or both. You can choose either of the 3 options there. They'll populate in just a second. My computer is working overtime right now, but the student book and the workbook show up there. And if I select one, it'll take a second to calculate all of that. And it will do the same thing the other interactive SEP does. It will populate the assignments, the standards, and the page numbers. But honestly, this is a table of contents from Ventures. That's really all it is. I am looking for folks who can help me understand those standards a little bit better. It seems like every textbook I look at, they list a standard, like they say this is aligned to the ESL standards, and then the standards they give look like this. And I don't know how well y'all can see that, but it says ELP standards 1 through 10. Well, there are only 10 standards for ELP, and this says that one section aligns to all of them. And if you look at every single section, they all say the same thing. And this is straight from the table of contents. So I found it really challenging for that ESOL content. And again, if anyone wants to help me out with that, I am happy to accept that help. I've been struggling. My ESL teacher friends in our program have been struggling with exactly how to group things and assign things based on certain skills. So any help that you can provide or that you want to share or direct to me, I'm happy to accept. Absolutely. But this is the ESL one that I do have. And our teachers are using it, but not very many others because it's just not, it's not useful enough to be perfectly honest. I might have some programs consider changing to only ventures with digital. I mean, maybe so. I'm not here to endorse ventures. I don't use it personally. I just know our teachers at our school do. So if teachers would like to use ventures, this is just a quick way to have an SEP generated for them. But yeah, it's not anything too special, I guess. I'm looking for more out of what I produced than this. All right. I'm not seeing a lot of other questions. Thank you all too. I appreciate you being here. Let me just do this one more time. Thank you very much. And if you ever have any questions, you're always welcome to contact me. The website is there. My email address is there. Please reach out to me. You can send me messages on Facebook as well, on Math with Mr. Ward on Facebook. So search for my Facebook page. And I like to post, things on there, help people with their math homework, stuff like that on there too. So everybody's welcome to see me there as well. And if there aren't any other questions, I think we're ready to go.
I just want to say thank you on behalf of OACE. This was a great presentation. I think everybody is wowed. So great way to kind of end the day. For those of you that are interested in hanging around, there is a virtual happy hour after this session. And if you could please scroll to the bottom of the session and partake in the exit ticket. Again, Mr. Ward, thank you so much for this incredible tool. I have a feeling we're all going to be digging around and seeing how we can make this adapt and work for our program. So thank you very much.
No problem at all. I'm happy to help any way I can. And thank you all again for being here today and letting me present the Interactive SEP to you in Ohio.
There is a quick question about finding the recordings. The recordings will be posted, I believe, in the Whova app, and that's my understanding, but we will definitely get the answer out to participants how to access the recordings.
Also, just throwing this out there, on my website, I do have a tutorial video. It's on YouTube. It's just a YouTube video, but the link is on my website. So you can see the tutorial video for the Interactive SEP there. Again, it's not as in-depth as this, but it goes over the basics. And if you're looking to share that with folks, that's a quick one to share.
All right, if there's no further questions, we'll go ahead and call this meeting adjourned. Thanks again, everybody. Have a great day and have a great weekend.
Thank you all.
You're welcome. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Thank you.